Carmen, you can kick us off. Uh-oh, not the laugh.
I'm so glad that you identified we were wild cards, because people
Yes.
don't really identify that. And they're like, where'd this connection come from? And you should be here. Like, no, in episode 2, I didn't meet Donavan until probably episode 5. He came on episode 4. So I'm like, we were way behind, you know? When I first met Donavan, I was like, oh, he's handsome.
You like he's cute or whatever.
Oh, he's handsome. He's tall. I really thought his personality was charming. He was very easy to talk to.
Okay.
For me, it's not about how tall you are, light skin, dark skin, none of that. It's, can we have great communication?
Right.
And
is that connection there?
Communication, friendship. Like we would talk to each other every day for hours, and we got to know each other, right? And that was key. Also, he made me feel comfortable. Like I would just, like, when I was talking to his mom, for example, he was rubbing.
I was gonna go there, but keep going. Mm-hmm.
He was rubbing people like, baby, it's gonna be okay, because that's moms. You know, like, you just don't know how moms is gonna take you. You know,
it's scary.
And, you know, I'm very confident, but when it comes to mom, I'm like a kitten. I'm like, hello, ma'am. So first impression was amazing with Donavan. I'm glad I met him. If anything, out of the whole journey, he is definitely my number one reason for being on the show. And then, of course, number 2 is the great friends that I made.
I love that. What about you, Donavan? What was your first impression of Miss Carmen?
So it was funny because me and Carmen were actually we joke about this all the time. When we first met, first of all, my first date was with Precious, right?
Okay.
And then there was that was my blind date, and then I had we had a group date that they didn't film, that they didn't show, and that's where I met Ace. I met it was AP and Paul, and Precious was there as well. So that was my first group. You know, that's like the first group that I met, and then we get to the getaway, right?
Okay.
And then, you know, at the getaway, we really didn't talk a lot. Like, we saw each other, we introduced ourselves to each other and things like that, but it wasn't really like it was kind of like in passing, as we were literally like, because we were like, what's going on, right? What do we have to do? What's next? Who's going to direct us? And so we just kind of went with the flow, and we saw people walking off and taking hands and things like that. And it's funny because after the Truth or Dare, we both were looking at each other like, so I'm like, how long have you been here? She was like, yeah, I've been here like 2 weeks. I was like, I've been here this is my first day, and I see like all these things happening. So it was crazy to see that. And then even I had the production had to tell me, Donavan, you got to get people's numbers. I was like, oh, I thought y'all give me like a list of numbers so I could start,
No, you got to do it yourself.
I was like, no, I got to run game. I got to talk to people. Like, I got to ask them, like, hey girl, what's your name? What's your number? You know, let me put your number on my phone. And so I had to do that. And it was funny because that night I asked Carmen for her number. And I was setting it up, and I was going to send her a text message. So I asked her what her number was. So I was setting up. She's like, that's not how you put a phone number in your phone. I was like, oh. I was like, well, and it was instant. And it was instant. So me and her, like, she was. It's like, that's not how you do it. I was like, well, how about I do it this way, and then you can show me how to do it the way that you do it, right? So she's like, see, and I sent her a text message. I said, see, it worked. I said, I did something different, but it worked. And she was like, I guess, right? I was like, whatever. I'll talk to you later, girl, right? And then from that point, we had actually kind of created like a fun connection, and we had actually a good time from that point forward. We were texting each other, we were calling each other. There was a point where I texted her, called her, and I know she was busy, but I didn't take it personal. I just figured, you know, we're all going through this process, you know, things like that just happened. And it was brought up in a gentleman's lounge at one time too. Someone else was trying to get in contact with Carmen, and they were saying, well, she doesn't return my calls, or she doesn't return my text messages or whatever. And I'm like, well, and then Tommy looked at me and was like, well, does she return your text messages? I'm like, well, in the beginning, not necessarily, but she does now. I was like, we talk every day. I said, she returns my calls, returns my text messages. And even Eric, and even Tommy looked at Eric, said, Eric, did she return your text messages and calls? And he was like, yeah. And then they looked at the other person. Tommy looked at the other guy, was like, well, maybe it's just she don't like returning your phone calls and text messages. Right? I was like, well. But that's Carmen. That's Carmen. So it was like, when I met her, it was like she didn't come at me, but it was like she was very like direct, right?
Yes.
And I can appreciate
That's
that. And it was like I can read that, right? I can trust that because I know where you're coming from. And from that point, our first date was on her birthday. And even there was like we had a really good time. You know, her birthday's the day after my mom's birthday. So it was like, you know, just really
it
enjoy
makes
it.
so
Like,
much sense.
you know,
Okay.
so it's just so much of a you know, connection there. And like much like she said, we talk all the time. Even when we're upset at each other, we still talk, right? We still try to talk through it. And I think that's the most important thing with us. Yeah.
I like this. I didn't know all that now. Thank you
Well,
for
it's
letting
a
me.
lot of things people don't know. So
Good. And we can talk about what they don't know right now. So first of all, we saw, for me, the first time I really saw like the sparks fly between y'all two was at the getaway when y'all were like this in the hot tub. But I'm curious, who made the first move on who? Because I don't think we saw y'all's first kiss. So who made the first move?
you want to take that back? It was me.
Yes.
Oh, isn't that cute? Do you care to tell us where?
Well, she was actually having a conversation with another gentleman at the time, and I kind of interrupted that conversation. You know, I was like, "Hey, you want to get in the hot tub? You want to go hang out and have a conversation and talk a little bit?" You know, she was like, "And look," and it was instant. She was like, "Okay, let's go." It was like she just got up and walked away. I was like, "Sorry, bro. I'm like, we're gonna go hang out for a little bit." So
real cute. All right, so for both of you, what was your best date, I'll say, between the two, either seen or unseen? What was the best date that you guys had when you were really like, okay, I see it, I see this connection?
I'll let you take this one back.
I think we always knew there was a connection, but we have to be real. There were other connections.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, who are you connecting with more or more authentically, right? Yes. So it was like, I think we knew we had a connection from jump, but like we had other connections and where right? I think being able to be in the same space, meaning the weekend house, the weekend we had, and I wanted, and on my interviews, I said, someone, please step up. And it can be misconstrued. What I was saying was, I'm normally a leader. And when I this journey, I didn't want to lead. I want a man to lead me.
Okay.
So I didn't want to say, I choose you. I wanted someone
to choose you. You want to be chosen.
Right. I value you. I see something in you and I want to go for it. And going back to that kiss, I was with another gentleman, I won't say his name, and he was fitting his game. And Donovan came up and was like, "Hey, you want to go in the hot tub?" And
like,
I looked over and I was waiting for him to say no or something. And he didn't say something. I said, okay. And so I loved that charge.
Okay, and Mr. Seal girl. Okay.
I was like, okay. I see. And so it kind of was starting from that point that I really knew that my other connections were fading away.
I got you. Now, one thing I've seen people say on social media was that Sabrina was a player on this show. I told her that to her face last episode. But low key, do you guys feel like you guys were players on this show, or were you rightfully dating people and seeing where it went?
So this is my objective opinion of this. Okay.
Come on.
So we're in the process, right? The process is, part of the game. I call it a game, right? Because it is a game. The process is you're literally meeting multiple people and you're trying to get to know multiple people, right? And Sabrina played that game, but I think the difference between Sabrina, myself, Carmen, and other people who play the game is that they respected the people in the game, right? Or in the process, right? So it was being respectful of other people's in front of other people's time. When you're texting or calling or doing anything like that, you have to be respectful of those people and understanding. And I just don't think there was, I think she played it very selfishly in that sense and wanted to all be around her. And it wasn't about her. It was about a connection. And and for me, that's the reason why I felt I chose Carmen was that, because we had a connection. We developed something. We saw something. We continued to, build on it. And that's the way it was for me. That's the way I saw it. It's everybody was doing this. Everybody's dating multiple people, right? You're talking to multiple people.
That's the
You're
game.
literally getting off the phone. Like, I remember Carmen has told me her story about getting off the phone with somebody and getting on the phone with someone else, and that other person being right there when she's calling someone else. But that's all part of the process. You have to understand that, and I think it's you have to go into this with thick skin and know it's not personal, and know it's just literally, it's everyone is going around getting to know each other to find out who is their person, who is more aligned with the ideas that you want, the dreams that you want, have it be political affiliations or associations or whatever it is, the same common goals. And that's where those conversations are had off camera, that a lot of people don't see. So that's where those connections are made. And that's where I feel like we made ours, because we only went on one date that you saw. We actually, once we made that commitment and chose each other, they put us on multiple dates again, because we were like, I don't care about anybody else. I just want to date you. So right. And they didn't show those, unfortunately, they didn't show those and bring those in the light. So.
Okay. So I want to talk about misconceptions, any regrets that you may have from this season. Carmen, first of all, Carmen, what's your sign?
I'm a Libra.
Libra.
You're a Libra?
Yeah.
Okay. Libra and Aquarius. I see it. Okay, yep. I got it now. So I want to give you a chance to respond to people on social media who have said that you were a little harsh, a little bit mean when it comes to certain people. Is that just your personality? Do you figure out that you're just keeping it real? What is your response to people saying that you were a little mean or a mean girl?
Harsh to who? Mean
Dakia.
Who?
Dakia.
Oh, okay. So I'll do an umbrella response. When I on the show, it's a reality show. So reality show, I'm thinking everyone's going to be real, right? And in the real world, you run across people you don't care for, right? Some people will pretend like I don't care for this person, but I'm going to smile in your face. I'm not that person, right? What I don't think people understand is a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes, and we could be taping for 10 hours and you'll only see 10 minutes, right? I don't feel I was a mean girl to Dakia. I spoke my mind. I'm very competitive. So I would say things that was competitive. Like, but when I think about it, the things I said were never really like, I don't feel mean. I would say things that would make me elevated. Like, drop that zero, get with this hero, something like that. To me, it's like funny.
Hold on. There's a notion, it's called fun shade or there's shade. So you said you were doing fun shade.
Fun shade.
Like competitive, like, give her eviction notice because, I'm here. But really, is that saying she's not beautiful? Is that saying that she's not successful? No, it's like a competitive banter. And I do it with the guys. And maybe I'm not doing it with females. They're not used to dealing with that. But it was never like, I've never said anything about her body. I repeated something. But I've never said anything really derogatory about her. So I didn't look at it until I see it on the screen and people are saying, I'm like, oh, okay. It could be that way, but that wasn't my intention. However, I do. So that's correct.
You said you do what?
I do not care for her. So that's good.
Okay, let's move on. Donavan, so I was watching you on live earlier today with Paul and with Joy. And you just said you like to make people laugh. You like to joke. Yep. And that might just come off as you just being perpetually petty. Just throwing a little shade in there. That's why when y'all came on, I was like, here go my petty prince, my petty princess. So Donavan, do you regret the Golden Girls comment that you made?
Not even a little bit.
Damn, I had a follow-up there. Donavan, damn.
Nope. I'm straight to the point. Yeah, but go ahead. Continue. I apologize. Continue.
Okay, so I want you to have a chance to clarify the conversation that you had with Joy. And what you said earlier was, I admired and appreciated your connection with Clifton. I respect that. I love to see that. You said you immediately saw your connection with them at the pool house. And you said that you enjoyed seeing the power of choice. You said it was harmless and it was platonic. So that is correct. It was just a harmless, platonic conversation.
Yeah, so for me, like, obviously I just kind of want to back up. So obviously
Sure.
I went through my divorce, right? Through my divorce. We went through COVID, right? We went through so many different things that were going on, you know, during that time for me. And I got a chance to relate to myself. And I said, okay, in my situations where I'm going to find love, I want to be extremely vulnerable. I want to be consistent, and I want to be transparent. Okay. So that's what I was being during this whole process, right? And I felt it was taken advantage of, because when I was talking to Joy, I was being transparent and being open and being honest and being all those things with her. And I shared that information of that conversation with Joy of, hey, I love to see y'all together. Y'all deserve it. I see it, you know, there. And if anybody says anything different, they a damn fool. I said, now, and I saw it from the day I came on to at the pool party, you know, and I didn't even know who Joy was. And I didn't know who Clifton was, but I saw they were in a corner somewhere, and I'm looking like, yeah, I ain't messing with that. That's obvious, right? And mind you, through this whole journey, I never went on a date with Joy. She was constantly at my bottom because we never went on a date. And that's why when Tommy talked about connections, my connection has always been, I don't have a connection with Joy because we've never gone on a date. We don't really talk like that, right? But so for the getaway, this was the first opportunity that her and I actually sat down and actually talked. And I'm a little upset that that production didn't show that great conversation that a man and a woman could have on a platonic level in respecting the love that she has for another man. Because I have sisters, I have friends who are women, right? And we talk about these things. And I was having this conversation with her of like, hey, I respect what you guys have. I admire, I see it. I said, I want that. And I can't wait to try to find that and try to find that. And when we left that conversation, we both joked around and said, man, she's like, Donovan, you cool. I said, Joy, you cool as hell too. I said, you still was on my bottom. And she's like, yeah, you still on my bottom too, right? And we joked about that. Right, okay. But you know what I mean? But it was like you were always someone that I never had a true connection with, right? But she said, but I see how you and I, because we vibe, we're cool together. We're like brother and sister now. And we both agreed that, man, there could have been potentially something there if I came on early, but it was not. I said, but we also said, maybe not, because of their connection that her and Clifton had. So it was, her and Clifton had, and it was all about being respectful. So when we left that, it was nothing. And I went and talked to Sabrina, and we even went and talked to Carmen the same day. And I said, yeah, I had a conversation with Joy. It was great. You know, I said, I love her with Clifton. I love them together. And, you know, I said, yeah, we both joked around and said, man, you know, if I had started the process early, things could have been different. And we laughed, and I laughed about it. Now, Sabrina took that. And by the way, I never spoke to Dakia, never talked to Precious about this. So when I'm talking to Sabrina about this, I shared that information. And again, it was just a conversation I had with someone else, because you asked me what I did today, or who did I talk to today, and I gave you that information. And I did the same thing, and I shared that same information with Carmen. And then when they took it, and then you try to throw it at me, and then you try to make it, then you want to try to do this whole, yeah, me too, the thing. Yeah, I did too. You told me that. I'm like, where are y'all getting this information from? Where are y'all acting? Why are y'all acting like this? Because I would never thought that they would have come at me with something and try to twist it and throw it back in my face as though I was being facetious or being manipulative in that situation to try to take someone from somebody. When I saw Clifton, and Clifton was with Joy, and I was on my journey looking for love. So why would I even do that? So that's where I was like, I was taken back. I'm like, wow, this is what you're doing. This is what you're doing.
Fair enough. All right.
And and also remember, it came off a deflection of a conversation when Tommy asked Donovan, what happened between you and Sabrina? I said, well, there were some issues that we didn't talk about. Well, she said there were concerns. I said, okay, there were concerns. Okay, we had concerns we didn't talk about. And then she deflects. Again, that's all she does is deflect. So
fair. All right. Well, thank you for clarifying that for us.
Very welcome.
And we will see more of you guys tonight on the Ready to Love reunion at 8. Congratulations to you two. Lovely seeing you guys together. Best wishes to you both. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.